When you look up into the night sky, what do you see? Twinkling stars and the moon. Some people, however, say they have seen things flying in the sky. No, they don't mean bats or aeroplanes. They say they have seen flying saucers. They call them flying saucers because they look like little flying plates. But whatever their shape, no one knows for sure where these flying objects come from. They cannot be identified. That is why they are also called unidentified flying objects, or UFOs. But are there really UFOs? Some people say they have seen UFOs and that they have photographs to prove it. But many of these photographs are not real. This photographer, for example, spins a plate into the air, and what he gets is something like this. And what do you think of his photograph? Does it look like a UFO? Do UFOs really exist? Even scientists can't decide if there really are UFOs. What do you think? George Adamski, who lived in America, believed in UFOs. According to him, he has seen them. And this is his story. One night, George and his friends went to the Californian desert because that was the place where people said they had seen UFOs. After driving for some time, they reached the end of the road, and there they saw a UFO. George then asked his friends to go off and to wait for him at a distance. When George was alone, he quickly started taking photographs. Suddenly, aeroplanes roared across the sky and the UFO flew off. Then, George thought he saw something move. It looked as if it was a man. He wasn't quite sure. George went closer, and what he saw was a young man. George realized that the young man was different. He was not from Earth. He was from another planet, another world. He was from the UFO. The man did not speak much English, so George tried to speak to him by using his hands to make signs which the man seemed to understand. Soon it was time for the man to go. Suddenly, something powerful pulled George's arm up. George then remembered the photographs in his pocket. He took one out to check if the force from the UFO might have destroyed it. When the young man saw the photograph, he asked George if he could have it. Using hand signals, he told George he would return it to him sometime later. George agreed. A few weeks later, the UFO returned and George got his photograph back. Do you believe in George's story? Did George really see a UFO? Did he really make friends with a man from another world? Or did George just imagine the whole thing?
I've been looking all day long. There are no UFOs. All I've seen so far are birds, kites, and aeroplanes, but no UFOs. Hello? Hello? There are no UFOs here. There are no UFOs in Singapore. And I'm sure there are no UFOs in the whole wide world.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off!
Higher and higher I fly into the quiet night sky. Further and further up I go, leaving my home down below. Traveling in a new spaceship on an extra special trip to discover and to explore a place I've not been before. A billion stars shining so bright, twinkling softly in the night. Space is mysterious, it's lovely, but it can get quite lonely. Out in space there's no one I see, except perhaps just little old me. No joy, no laughter, not even a friend. Is our space a no man's land? Hello, hello, can someone hear? Are you out there? Are you near? Oh, look, is it a UFO? Is it a friend or a foe?
I am your friend. I am your friend.
Many, many years ago, according to some people, a powerful earthquake shook and rocked Singapore. Then it started to rain very heavily for 6 whole days. On the 7th day, the rain stopped, and the sun broke through the clouds and shone warm and bright. A French scientist who was working in his home suddenly heard many excited voices outside his window. What was the noise all about? He looked out of his window, and there he saw many people carrying pails and baskets. There were hundreds of fish everywhere, and they were free. People were all over the place. They were very excited, and they were busy picking and filling their baskets and pails with fish. The French scientist then asked them where the fish had come from. And the answer they gave was really unbelievable. They said the fish had fallen from the sky. Many years ago, a man in England also found fish falling all around him. The whole place was covered with fish. He took off his hat and saw some fish on it too. But what was most unbelievable was that the fish which had fallen out of the sky were actually still alive. The fish were jumping about. Many other things have fallen out of the sky. For example, frogs. But why do such things happen? Where do the frogs come from? And why do they fall from the sky? And how can fish, which are found in lakes and seas, fall out from the sky. Some people believe that the fish have been carried by a powerful storm called a whirlwind, in which strong winds and rain twist and turn and spin in circles. According to them, whirlwinds carry water containing the fish high up into the clouds. This seems like a very good explanation, because many times when fish fell out of the sky, there was heavy rain too. But what about those times when fish had fallen from the sky, but there was no rain and no strong wind? Besides, whirlwinds are very messy. They pick up all kinds of things along their path and throw and scatter them in every direction all over the place. Yet, many times when the fish fell out of the sky, they fell only in one place. But there are other people who seem to have another explanation. The fish, they say, were actually carried by birds. These birds, while flying, had accidentally dropped their food. Up to today, no one can fully explain why or how frogs or fish, dead or alive, can fall from the sky. We do not really have the answers. We do not know if fish will ever fall from the sky again. Who knows? One day, when you're walking down a road in Singapore, some fish, or even some frogs, might just fall from the sky. It's always good to be prepared when that happens.